Hello and welcome to the Marin Bikes Kids Bike Breakdown. I'm Adam White, I'm the Technical Communication Manager at Marin.
I'm Aaron Abrams. I'm the Director of Product and the Manager for all the kids' bikes.
And today we are going to break down our kids range to make sure that when you're looking for such a bike, we help you get it right. All right, Aaron, we're going to start with the Donkey Junior. Maybe you can give us a little bit of a highlight of this bike and who would want it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Donkey Junior is our entry level into the kids platform in the category that we would call neighborhood kids bike. So that means it's a bike that's great for riding on paved surfaces, sidewalks, streets, bike paths, anywhere that is safe and a way, great place for kids to ride. The bikes are available in several different sizes. So we have everywhere from 20 and 24 inch. So depending on the size of the kid, and you can reference our website to see which size is right for that kid, for their age and also for their height. As spec-wise, these bikes are made with aluminum frames, steel forks, and an entry-level parts kit that's nice and durable. Good gears to get the kids around if there's some hills, and just generally a great set of components for a long-lasting, durable, high-quality kids bike that's ready to be passed down through the generations.
Great, it looks fast and efficient actually.
Yeah, exactly. So again, made for being on the paved surfaces. So the tires are great for multi-surface. They can ride on pavement. If there's any loose sand or rock on the road, it's still going to have some grip. But fast and efficient. So if the kids are riding with the parents, they'll be able to keep up and have a little bit more fun time.
Okay, so next in the pavement line, we would probably step up towards the Coast Trail.
That's right. Yeah, so the difference between the Coast Trail and the Donkey Junior is going to be more kid-specific components and a lighter weight bike overall. So we focus on weight, so trying to bring that proportion of the bike weight to the kid weight a little bit more in line. And that means a lighter weight bike is going to be easier for the kids to ride. They're going to have more fun and they're going to want to ride it more. So the way that we've built the Coast Trails out, it's a full aluminum frame, it's a full aluminum fork, aluminum components like the rims, the handlebars, the stems, even the seat post and the one-piece saddle. So looking at all of those parts to try to keep the weight as low as possible, but higher end parts as well. So it's a little bit nicer bike, but really focusing on that weight for that nicer riding experience for the kids. Also available in a variety of sizes. So we've got 16, 20, and 24. Then again, you can reference our website to see what age your kid is, or also what height they are, and what the proper corresponding bike size would be.
Sounds great, and obviously across the range, something that's really important to us is that performance value equation that Marin want to focus on.
Exactly.
So perfect example of that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So on a bike like this, you can see some really high value parts like 19 millimeter handlebar. That means that the diameter of the bar is smaller than a traditional bar. Like an adult bar is a 22.2 millimeter, where this is a 19. So that brings the diameter down a little bit. And then we can use a smaller grip on the bike, which means for smaller hands, they can have more control.
That's a great touch.
Brake levers that come closer to the bars, so easier for their little hands to reach, and lighter pull, so easy for them to pull the brakes. Also things like custom shifters, so the shifter lever comes closer to the bar. So again, with smaller hands, easier to shift, easier to actuate, and easier to ride, so should be more riding and more fun on the bike.
Superb. So let's move over to this very snazzy number. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the Bear Valley.
Yeah, so we also have a completely separate segment inside of the kids range. We just went through the neighborhood bikes. Those are bikes that are great for riding on paved surfaces and again around neighborhoods. Then the other side of the kids range is going to be focused on mountain bikes. So we're missing one model here today. That's the Bayview Trail. So that is our entry level into the mountain bike range for kids bikes. That bike is very similar to what we saw with the Donkey Junior, starting off at that opening price point with good quality and good feature specs. But when we move up to a bike like this Bear Valley, it's similar to what we just talked about with Coast Trail. We focused a lot on the weight of the bike and trying to bring that weight as low as possible. So a lot of features like the aluminum fork, lighter weight tires. So even though these are knobby tires, they're great for off-road use. They've got a nice lightweight casing, and they have low rolling resistance. So the tread height, everything is made for being on a kid's bike to give them the best experience off-road. It's got wide range gearing, so easy to shift through, go into lower gears, so easy to climb. and then a great geometry for descending and for riding any kind of trail. We've also included a clutch on the rear derailleur, and what that means is the derailleur is actually controlled by an internal mechanism. So if the kids are riding over rough ground, it won't be moving, and therefore the chain won't be slapping around, causing a lot of noise, or maybe even falling off, giving them some trouble. So a lot of the features that you would find on a higher end adult mountain bike, but brought into this package to be as light and accessible as possible.
Something I really like is these little hydraulic brakes. Like super powerful, but the levers sit really nice and close to the bars.
Exactly.
Which is something I remember like years ago. It was a long time ago when I was young enough to have a bike like this. But brakes were always just a nightmare to be able to use efficiently.
Yeah, and that's a great feature. Once you reach this level, we move into a hydraulic disc brake. So that means that instead of pulling a cable, it's actually pushing fluid through the line. So it's very light action. It's very easy for a kid to pull, and the braking force is quite strong. Yeah. So it's awesome for control, but of course it's also really great for safety. And we want the kids to make sure kids are as safe as possible out there. So yeah, disc brakes are huge, and you'll notice that on all mountain-oriented kids bikes, they're all spec'd with disc brakes, starting off at mechanical, and then once you reach this level, of course, moving to hydraulic.
And of course, disc brakes are better generally if the weather is inclement and you've got mud or water on the brakes. They're far more effective than a rim brake at stopping and performance in foul weather, right?
Yeah, and that's why we use them for mountain biking across the board. So any Marin bike that's made for mountain biking, you'll see disc brakes, and again, trickling all the way down to this level with this kids-specific disc brake with the smaller lever, easier reach, and yeah, great safety and control.
Great. I wish I had something that snazzy when I was a kid.
Yeah, me too. I would
have,
yeah, maybe become a little bit better mountain biker if I'd have started a little earlier.
For sure, me too. Okay, so after the Bear Valley, we step up to the San Quentin.
Right.
Now, this excites me a lot because, of course, our full-size San Quentin is actually very much inspired by one of our athletes, Matt Jones.
Right.
So this is actually kind of just the junior version of that bike, right?
Yeah, exactly. So once we reach this level, what we're looking at is a bike that's going to have all of the same feature and component and quality and level as an adult level bike, but it's shrunken down into a smaller package. So these San Quentins are made really for mountain biking. So generally this is going to be for the young rider that is going to be out on trails, and they're going to start trying to progress their level. So we have a 20-inch and a 24-inch, so easy for growing with the kids. And really we see kids riding these at bike parks. We see them riding them at trail centers, hanging with bigger kids, hanging with the parents. They're able to accomplish anything from traditional mountain biking, some light dirt jumping, even more aggressive riding with the more slack head tube angle and steeper seat tube angle. So really taking a lot of those geometry cues from the mountain bike, from the adult mountain bike world as well.
Safe for descending and comfortable for pedaling up, right?
Exactly, yeah. So they feature a 100mm travel suspension fork. So that's a big upgrade once you move to this level, is a nice high quality fork. So it's adjustable for the kid's weight. So you can adjust it as the kid gets bigger. You can increase the air volume, make the fork a little stiffer, and vice versa. If the kid's a bit smaller, you can let some air out and really make it so the suspension works. That's a critical part for us on any of the Marin kids bikes, is that we're not just speccing parts that look like mountain bikes or look like performance
look
parts.
like they do the job.
Right, yeah, we have to make sure that they actually function the same way for the kid that we expect them to for any of our riders.
Makes sense. Yeah, another very cool piece of kit. So after here, we would move to the Rift Zone Junior.
That's right.
And with the Rift Zone Junior, this is the 26-inch model, right? But it also comes in the 24-inch model of the same bike.
Exactly.
So this is really moving into the sort of more serious mountain biking, right? Because you send this down a downhill track if you wanted to, or dirt jumps, or...
Right, yeah, this bike can really do just about anything for a youth rider. So when we're looking at the Rift Zone, for us, this is our trail bike. We have the Rift Zone in many different spec versions, going all the way up the line. And what we've done here is just similar we talked about with the San Quentin. we've taken all of the same spec and ideas and the theory of geometry and all of those details that we spent time and energy on the Rift Zone, and we've brought it into that youth package. So we've shrunk everything down. We made the bike lighter weight. We used a lot of youth-specific components, or components like air fork, air shock that are really easy to adjust for those youth riders. And this bike is capable of doing anything that our adult Rift Zone is capable of doing. Also, we see a lot of kids, like you mentioned, you can do downhill tracks with them. Since kids are lighter weight, you don't need 180 millimeters of travel for them to be able to, have a great downhill experience. Yeah. So we see a lot of that, and a lot of riding with the parents. Yeah, and bunch of competition. So this is the age we start to see kids really, riding with their friends more and really starting to
get into the sport.
Yeah, heat it up out on the trails.
Well, it certainly looks like one hell of a ripper of a bike. It's got some serious grip on those tires. So we use V tires on this model.
Yeah.
And these look really tacky as well. So like grip and confidence
yeah,
will be
exactly.
improved.
Yeah, 100%. So that's what we're looking for. We want to make sure, again, it's got all the same abilities as what we see in the adult bikes. So this is the same set of tires that we would spec on the 27.5 or the 29, but in this case, the smaller version for 26 or even the 24 version of this bike. Also, it's worth noting that the 26 and the 24-inch bikes are almost identical. It's really the wheel size that's different. So if you're getting into the 24-inch bike, you could actually upgrade the wheel set on that bike to a 26, and that bike can easily grow with the young rider.
So it's actually, you could have that bike for a long period of time. If you had two children that were quite close together, it could be passed down, and you could bring it back to 24 if you wanted to.
Exactly.
Very versatile.
Yep. And also, it's they're able to fit any of the standardized mountain bike components. So if you wanted to do some upgrading, or you had some of your cool old parts left in the bin at home, it's easy to put those parts on the bike, because again, this is fully spec'd and ready for any adult kind of components or any high-end spec.
Very cool. Thanks for your time, Aaron.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So guys, I hope you've enjoyed our little Marin Kids bike breakdown. I'm sure you'll agree that there is a bike for any of your little rippers, young, old, smaller or taller. If you like these little breakdowns of our bikes and equipment, then let us know. We'd be happy to do more for you. And Aaron, thanks for your time.
Thanks, buddy.